Legacy is defined as something handed down from one generation to the next. Maybe it's a value or a tradition, or maybe it's a person and everything they stood for.
I always knew that there was something special about Grandpa, like being from, even when I was little, people thought, oh, you're Rich Greeno's granddaughter. You could just tell that he was well respected in the community and well respected in the track and field community in South Dakota.
In the history of South Dakota high school athletics, few coaches were more respected or had more success than Rich Greeno. Starting in 1950, his teaching and coaching career spanned 6 decades, highlighted by a 22-year championship-laden stint at Sioux Falls Lincoln. Greeno's Lincoln teams won 19 state championships and earned 12 state runner-up finishes. And while all those triumphs earned Rich national awards and a place in numerous school and state Hall of Fames, the end result was far from the only thing he cared about.
He had such great success, but it was more about being good sports. You are a team. We need to work together. Those were really important to him.
Don't let the valleys get too deep or the mountains too high, but kind of keep an even tempo and enjoy those things.
We weren't always going to win, but if you're the first runner or the last runner, you're always helping out each other. He kind of brought that over to life a little bit too, in your community, in your family, and your workplace. You know, what can I do to help out my team?
He surrounded himself with coaches, whether it be cross country or track, who were good people. They were great coaches, and he recognized that they were good coaches and he let them coach. He knew how to motivate kids, he knew how to motivate coaches, and that's a magical combination when you can get it all on the same page.
Are you ready?
Even though Rich coached for over 50 years at the high school and college levels, his methods didn't change much from generation to generation.
He taught everybody the same thing, consistently. The stories really don't change, just the people that were impacted. So even something as simple as how you hold your hands when you're running. So many people clench, and he was trying to get us not to do this. So he said this, and then he said even to pretend, or actually in some cases, some people he would say to actually put a potato chip there and don't break the potato chip.
He was not a hollerer, not a screamer. He had high expectations.
Work hard on her, we'll be okay.
He was just very frank with you. He said, this is what I'd like you to do, and this is why I'd like you to do it, and this is what I think will be the result of it. You do what he said, and man, it worked out just like he thought. And so from an athlete's perspective, it was real easy to trust him because he knew what he was talking about. What he said was going to happen probably happened.
Along with his dedication to coaching, teaching, and fitness, Greeno still made time to volunteer in a variety of organizations, including committing over 40 years to running the summer track and field programs for the Sioux Falls Parks and Rec Department. But busy as he was, there was never a question of what he valued most.
He's very much a family man. When I went to college, he wrote me a letter. Well, I take that back. He typed me a letter because he's notorious for having terrible handwriting. He typed me a letter and then always signed a little bit at the end. I got a letter at least every week.
Rich lived a full life, and as he neared his personal finish line, many of the people he impacted, former runners he coached and students he taught, felt compelled to honor the man that had meant so much to them.
Maybe about 8 months before Rich passed away, a couple people had talked to him about maybe trying to do a tribute here in town, something of the like. He was a very humble man, didn't like a lot of hoopla. So at that time, he kind of shied away from that a little bit.
It wasn't about himself. It was more about the team and the kids.
He was pretty humble, private, quiet person, but just that they were so fired up about finding some way to honor him was pretty special.
And then they talked to him again a couple of months before he passed, and he was more acceptable to something. We just hadn't decided on what yet.
After Rich's passing at the age of 88 in the spring of 2017, one potential idea of how to honor the beloved coach began to take shape.
A really good friend of mine from middle school and high school, Zon Tran, called me on the phone one night and he said, hey, we need to do something for Coach Greeno. I kind of thought about that too, but I said I had no idea where to even go with it. Zon goes, well, what about if we did a statue? I said, okay, keep talking, what are you thinking? He said he had known Darwin Wolf, and he was a sculptor from a previous thing. He said, I think we could talk Darwin into doing it. And so from there, it just kind of started to roll.
Wolf signed on to what came to be known as the Greeno Memorial Project, and he soon began work on a miniature version of Rich's statue.
He's kind of got that gentle soul like my dad. So I said, it's too bad you didn't get to meet him because they would have hit it off.
I get to be with some very great people who are describing other great people. And I think having learned what Coach Greeno was all about, it's another situation where I feel like it's an honor to sculpt these people. We're just about ready to say the face is nailed and done, and I'm going to finish up the hands, and it's a finished sculpture.
His sculpture was just amazing. It looks a lot like him.
It's him in his prime. You can just picture him out for a run with his Lincoln High athletes. He's got his Greeno sweatshirt. Run out of the comfort zone is on the back. Even though you can't see it, I know that that's what it says on the back, but he's got his Greeno sweatshirt on. And that's how I picture him. That's how I want to remember him.
Taking a miniature and turning it into a life-size bronze sculpture is a timely and expensive process. But those hurdles didn't stop Rich's former runners.
We had no idea what we were doing when we started. Thankfully, Allie came on board because we knew the hardest part of this was going to be the fundraising.
All the people that were passionate about doing something to memorialize Greeno's legacy were sitting around this table and saying, okay, what can you help with? What can you help with? We felt like, okay, let's do this. Let's take the leap of faith and let's hope that we can find these people to come out and support the project.
Our goal was $170,000, and that's a lot of money. And so to have somebody with Allie's skill set come on board, and then us reaching out from there, and her reaching out, and pretty soon, I think we're $4,000 away from meeting that ultimate goal, which was what we started for. It's absolutely amazing.
And it was rare that we found somebody that said, no, I don't really want to give, or that just didn't respond. Most people did, and surprisingly in a big way.
At the end of the day, relationships matter most, and Grandpa was great at that. Building relationships with students and athletes, and they just feel that special connection to him. And it's really humbling to see that they want to give back and be a part of this.
With the funds in place, the bronze statue in the final stages, and approval from the city of Sioux Falls for its permanent home, the Greeno Memorial Project is now nearing completion. But with Dedication Day looming, emotions are mixed among the group that has put unlimited care into preserving the memory of a man who meant so much to them.
There'll be people that come back for that day. I know teammates of mine, they're in the same boat I am, I think. Some of them that I've talked to, like, man, this is gonna be hard. And I said, it's already hard, but I said, it'll be a pretty cool thing.
We sit around the table, and when we meet as a small group, and when we walk away, we hug each other and say, what am I going to do when it's done? Even though it's been just a little over a year, it's been such a big part of our lives to be able to have something like this come back. Something that you realize now as an adult that was such a big part of who we are now and what we can leave as our own legacy.
Rich's statue will soon be placed by the footbridge that stretches over the Big Sioux River near Pasley Park. Not by coincidence, it'll stand 1 mile away from Lincoln High School at the end of a familiar training route for the legendary coach and past, present, and future runners alike. Fitting that the man who always ran alongside his teams with a smile on his face gets to continue to do so for generations to come, promoting that legacy of teamwork, fitness, and kindness, even after he's gone.
We want those generations to know who Coach Greeno was, because even though he's not with us now, the things he taught are still here. It's just they're passed on through different people. He had touched so many people in so many ways and continues to do so. And that's what that statue is going to remind everybody of.
Coach Greeno's statue was originally scheduled to be dedicated on May the 7th, but due to the coronavirus pandemic, that event has now been moved back indefinitely. To stay updated on when a new dedication date will be set, check out the Rich Greeno Tribute Facebook page or go to richgreenomemorial.org. On a personal note, I was blessed to get to know Rich in the later part of his life as a fellow member of the Howard Wood Dakota Relays Board of Directors and, more importantly, as a member of Rich's family through marriage. He was as kind and as gracious a man as I've ever met, and it was an honor to help tell his story.
This has been Midco Sports Magazine, presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.